On today's episode, we're going to talk about the MCU. Not going to spend too much time going over the history of the MCU because pretty much everybody should know about that, but we will delve into that briefly. But we're really going to be talking about going forward through, I guess, what we're going to call Phase 4 and 5. Basically, the MCU post-Endgame. And I have a question. Is the MCU still must-watch? Let's get into it. Welcome to the Way of the Dad podcast, where we fearlessly dive into the depths of dadness. If you like what you are hearing, please share the podcast and give it a review on the platform where you listen. Thank you. Hey there, welcome back. So, this is a question that's been bouncing around a little bit, and I've talked about the MCU previously. I believe that was episode 8, where I was talking about how the MCU plus, MCU Disney Plus shows don't really matter, or don't seem to matter as far as they're by their nature filler. That doesn't mean they can't be entertaining filler, but the shows in and of themselves are they're not really making big changes or affecting the grander movie MCU timeline, at least up to this point. That could change, of course, but as of right now, that's where they're at. You know, we're on the cusp of Moon Knight coming out here sometime later this week. I think the 30th, if I remember correctly. And the show definitely looks pretty interesting. I'm generally pretty stoked to see it. I'm excited to see what they do with Moon Knight. I'll admit I could never count myself as a Moon Knight fan, but I've come to it more recently. Believe it or not, our local library has a whole bunch of like collected comic books. You know, like the ones where you rent out and it's a big, almost bound softback, you know, type thing, but it's got like, you know, 5 or 6 individual comic books put together. And that's where I kind of discovered Moon Knight. I was going through, reading a lot of the Deadpool ones, reading a lot of the DC Injustice ones, which were actually quite good as far as like a alternate reality timeline for the DC universe. And I picked up Moon Knight, and I really enjoyed it. So I am interested to see what they do with Moon Knight here. I don't expect it to be perfect in the sense that I mean accurate to the comics. But I am hoping that they're at least faithful to the comics. I know Oscar Isaac is a good actor, so I'm encouraged that he's in it. Ethan Hawke I really like as an actor, so it's got potential. The problem is it also has potential to be really bad. And that would have been something to say that you might get someone kind of get a weird cross-eyed look at you if you said that before. Well, I don't know about this MCU movie, the third Thor, the third Iron Man, or Captain America Civil War. I don't know. This movie might not be that good. That'd be a really weird thing to say. Because what gave you that idea that those movies weren't going to be really good? Or at least decent. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you every MCU movie through Phase 3 was excellent, but they were watchable. I mean, as bad as Thor the Dark World is, it's not an unwatchable film. It's just not one that I just want to revisit very often. It's just okay. So, kind of bringing myself back here, I was looking at what's coming up. We just had Spider-Man No Way Home come out, and that was wonderful. It really was. And I feel like it's kind of their way of finally getting back to a more comic-accurate Spider-Man versus the MCU version that they were kind of having to try to create in an existing universe already. So I'm really happy about that. Interested to see where they go with it. But we've got Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, which should be good. Thor Love and Thunder? Well, I hope it's good. I mean, I like Taika Waititi's take on Thor, Ragnarok, although it is definitely a movie that is much heavier on the comedy and not as much on, say the character depth and drama. But it was a fun romp. I'll give it that. Black Panther 2, late in it looks like November of 2022. I hope that'll be good. It's got so many problems with it from the fact that they, I'm going to assume much earlier than they really wanted to. We're going to have to recast or somehow in a story fashion move past T'Challa because of the passing of Chadwick Boseman, which came out of nowhere because he kept it under wraps pretty well, I guess. His cancer. Got the Marvels. Early next year in 2023, looks like February 2023 at the moment. And that is interesting all by itself because that was supposed to be Captain Marvel 2, and now it's called The Marvels. It's going to have Brie Larson back as Captain Marvel. It's going to have Monica Rambeau in it. And it's going to have Ms. Marvel from the Ms. Marvel show that's coming up on Disney+. I'll be honest, I cannot remember for the life of me right now her character name. Kind of because I just don't care. And I haven't been given a reason to. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 in May of 23. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania looks like July of 23. And we got all these Disney Plus shows. Moon Knight I already talked about. Miss Marvel in June of this year. And whoa boy. I don't know if you watched that trailer. But wow. I gotta say, right now it looks terrible. It very much looks like it's made for a very preteeny high school crowd, and if that's what their goal was, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. A saying I'd heard a long time ago, a friend of mine had told me, I guess like an advertising executive had told him this, and said that if you ever watch a commercial, and at the end of it you go, I don't get it, then it wasn't for you. So, okay. Right now, Ms. Marvel does not look like it's for me. Now, maybe it'll be a fun show. Maybe it'll be plenty lighthearted and really enjoyable. But right now, based on that trailer, it doesn't look that. It looks kind of bad. She-Hulk coming out later this year. There's a lot of rumors going around that they are not sure what they have on their hands there. They're not sure if the show is going to do well or not. I mean, that doesn't sound good. What If Season 2 is supposed to be later this year? Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special? I guess that's a thing. I guess it'll be bonky and bonkers and zany and whatever. And then Secret Invasion apparently later this year as well. Which, I don't know. It's got Samuel L. Jackson and Emilia Clarke. That's what I know it's got in it. And I guess the fact that Nick Fury's in it means I'll at least be intrigued to see what it's going to be. They've got other shows that have not yet been given release dates. Agatha House of Harkness, with Agatha Harkness. I guess that'll be okay. I don't know if that'll be interesting. Armor Wars with Rhodey, Don Cheadle. Okay. I'm interested to see. Echo, based off the character from Hawkeye. I guess she's getting her own show. Ironheart, which supposedly she's going to appear in the second Black Panther movie. Have no idea how that's supposed to work, but somehow she's in there. Somehow that works. I have no idea. There's supposed to be a Wakanda series, basically. I don't know. I don't know what kind of series they're going to do based around Wakanda. That's, I mean, I don't know of any other characters from Wakanda, unless it's going to be like something about the Dora Milaje, but what is it going to be like them? Is it going to be like a Wakanda meets, Bosch hard-boiled detective type thing? Like, what are they doing? What would be a Wakanda series? What would that be about? So I have no idea about that. I just know it's on the list. And then this doesn't even cover now that the fact that they have the Netflix Defenders characters back in, or the formerly Netflix Defenders characters, Daredevil. Daredevil's supposed to be showing up in a whole bunch of things. They've talked about a new Daredevil season, either season 4 or a reboot. I think it'll probably be a reboot. I don't think this Daredevil is the Daredevil from the Netflix universe. Although there's not really anything in those shows that would be specific, that they couldn't work themselves around easily. Those shows never really did anything to go against what was going on in the MCU. Supposedly they want Kristen Ritter back as Jessica Jones. Iron Fist and Luke Cage probably going to get recast, mostly because of Iron Fist. I hate to say it, nothing against Mike Coulter. But that's a pretty big duo there. And so I think they're going to want a fresh Luke Cage along with their very fresh Iron Fist, which I totally understand why they want to redo Iron Fist. And I don't even know what they're going to do with the Punisher as far as, are they going to put him on Disney Plus, or are they going to put him on Hulu? They're going to have age-restricted sections now of Disney Plus for the more mature stuff, especially now that they pulled in the shows that used to be on Netflix. And apparently, my understanding is they have not edited them down. They have not edited out many parts that definitely would not have flown before on Disney Plus. So now they're going to be adding in age-restricted sections, content restrictions, things like that. So I guess what I'm getting at here is, before this, the MCU was not pick and choose. You watched every single movie. Now, it helped that they only released 2, maybe 3 movies tops per year. Made it easy to keep up with. You had just enough time between movies that you didn't totally forget what happened, and they were pretty good at making sure to bring you along for anything that might have gotten missed, right? But now, I really thought the MCU was something that I was really impressed with Kevin Feige, that I thought he could do no wrong. And of course, that's a mistake for thinking that right off the bat, right? In hindsight, you go, well, of course someone's going to screw up at some point, right? And the first real screw up that I noticed was Captain Marvel. That movie did not need to happen, especially not at that moment. They really shoehorned that movie in when it didn't make sense to. It didn't need to happen. If you watched Endgame, none of it mattered. Her character did not matter. It could have been written out of there by anybody who's even mildly talented in about 20 minutes. And they bring in someone who literally tries to upset the apple cart. You have this very mature, very well done cinematic universe that you've been slowly cooking and building and growing all up to this crescendo moment. And then you bring someone in out of nowhere and you force it, because if you really watch those movies, it feels very forced. It feels very shoehorned. Not to mention, you bring in an actress who, I don't know, has like a Napoleonic complex or some kind of, I don't know, some kind of distinct lack of confidence, that she has to go around talking like she's the biggest, baddest thing, and her character's the biggest, baddest character. And, oh, just wait till they get a load of me, because it's Now, and this is the way she talked in a lot of these press interviews and junkets and everything about how, well, they needed me to bring my character to come in to defeat Thanos and everything. That didn't matter at all. But I digress. I just really didn't like the Captain Marvel movie. It wasn't the worst movie I saw, but it was one of the first times where I thought, ooh, I think they got the casting wrong here. Not to mention, I didn't see the need for the movie. I didn't understand why they were pushing so hard for this particular movie right now. And then we get into some of the MCU Disney Plus stuff that they've been doing. Wanda Vision was okay. It was really interesting, the first handful of episodes. But then the ending was kind of rushed. Felt very just hurried up. Falcon and Winter Soldier, I didn't think that was anything really special. It was, the interplay between Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan was really good. But other than that, I really liked that show very much. And then the talking to that came at the very end was it didn't feel natural. And I know there's a message being put out. It's pretty obvious. You watch a lot of Hollywood stuff, you hear the message coming out. But it was okay, I guess. And then Loki felt like that was a show that was titled inappropriately. Should have been called Lady Loki. Loki just gets made the butt of virtually every joke there is. Constantly gets his ass kicked. Looks like an absolute bumbling buffoon. Not someone who inspired any fear or terror. Not the guy who organized the invasion of New York. Just a buffoon. There to be made jokes and made fun of as much as needed to be. And then Sylvie basically is standing for what I understand to be Lady Loki from the comics. She's more important to the show than anybody else. And then let's see here, what else we got. And then Hawkeye. That was a show that was weird to me. I didn't hate it, but it was kind of the opposite of some of the other shows where they started off really great and ended really flat. Hawkeye started off really flat, and then kind of picked up to at least a somewhat decent conclusion, but that was a show that couldn't figure out whether it wanted to be dramatic or a comedy, because the subject matter of the show is relating around to the ghosts of Clint's past coming back to haunt him. The ghosts, plural, being all of the people that he just straight up murdered. Bad people. Mob bosses, murderers. But he straight up murdered them. He went on a vigilante murdering rampage in between Infinity War and Endgame. But the show's played for laughs most of the time. And again, here we have another show that's titled. The title is literally the name of the character. And it's really more about not the character. Another character. I've got nothing against Kate Bishop's character or Haley Steinfeld. I think she did a really good job. She was. Did a really good job of not making her overpowered, but she did have to rescue Clint a little too often. For someone who's literally a rookie, a noob, okay? She's a noob, to use gamer speak. And yet somehow she's saving his ass a little too much. And the show really does revolve around her a fair amount. And I know they want to, I know some of it's financial. They need to move on from some of these older characters because these actors are going to ask for more money, and they're getting older, and it's getting harder to get in the kind of shape they need to get into, blah, 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 blah. I get that. Then there's also the other side of the financial, which is supposedly Marvel is trying to get away from a lot of the vintage characters because they're worried they may have to start paying royalties to the people who originally created them or their estates. So I know there's that too. But they're really, really, really pushing hard. A lot of characters coming up that nobody cares about. And I mean that from their comic book sales. Ms. Marvel's comic book sales, nothing to talk about. Captain Marvel's comic book sales, not much to talk about. And I think at one point she actually became a villain, which I'll admit if they did that in the movies, that would be interesting at least. Ironheart, I think she's had 2 comic book series that have been canceled and redone. Or at least ended, maybe, quotation marks, ended. And her sales are terrible. And we're going to She-Hulk from the Hulk, which is okay. Sad that we never got a standalone Hulk movie after the Ed Norton one, but a lot of that has to do with contractual obligations with Universal Studios. They can't make a standalone Hulk movie without Universal Studios getting a piece of the pie, and I guess Disney's not planning on sharing any of the pie. Fine. Whatever. But, you know, Echo, okay, maybe that'll be good. I don't know. Ironheart? Do I care? I don't know. These characters don't have the depth, they don't have the background, they don't have the history. And so what I'm getting at is, the MCU went from must-watch to being a la carte. Or, you know, piecemeal. Pick and choose. I still to this day haven't watched The Eternals, and I really don't know if I'm going to. Unless it just happens to be on. Maybe I won't turn away, you know, like Pluto TV's kind of cool like that, although you're not going to see it on Pluto TV. So I don't know if I'll ever watch it, because that means I'd have to be on Disney Plus. I'd have to like literally hover over it and press this button that says, yes, please play this for me. I don't care about the Eternals. They didn't introduce them previously and give me a reason to care. Do I care about Kate Bishop Hawkeye? Maybe. I mean, I'm going to need to see a heck of a good trailer to make me feel like I want to watch that show. Ironheart? Meh. Maybe. But her backstory from the comics isn't that impressive or interesting. And it's basically taking all these characters and treating like, you know, Iron Man, Captain America, Hawkeye, Black Widow. Now, as a quick aside, Yelena Belova, Black Widow? Would I watch that show? There's a decent chance, because Florence Pugh's pretty amazing in the role. But I'm still going to need a good trailer. I just don't know why I'm supposed to care about all these movies. Thor, Love and Thunder? Sounds like it's going to be more about Jane Foster Thor than Thor. And it doesn't say, it's not titled Lady Thor, it's not titled Jane Foster Thor, it's titled Thor. So, I liked Ragnarok, that was fun. So I'm hoping this will be fun too. Black Panther 2, it'll be interesting. I don't know. The Marvels? I don't know. That better be one hell of a trailer to make me want to, you know, sit down and watch for that. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania? Okay, I might watch that. Those have all been fun. They're not the best Marvel movies by any means of the word, but they're fun. Moon Knight? Yeah, that could be cool. Miss Marvel? Probably not. She-Hulk? Don't know. What If Season 2? Yeah, you'll probably get me on that one. I was always a sucker for the What If comics. But there's a lot of these that it's just like, I think this is to the point where I think it's time to start just picking and choosing. Because there's a whole bunch of content out there that they're creating, and it has gotten very uneven. That's really what I'm getting at, and I know I've taken a long way to get there, but I'm just really frustrated and kind of disappointed with where the MCU is going now. And I didn't like the MCU because it was all, a bunch of white people or whatever. It was because it was Iron Man, and it was Captain America, and Thor, and Hawkeye, and Black Widow, and Loki, and Thanos. I even like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and I never read one of those comics. They used to do a really good job of prepping me for the next ones. And this is it. This is really where it's at. This is the thing I've been bouncing around in. The MCU used to do a great job of showing me before the movie came out, before the show came out. They used to do a really good job of showing me why I should care. And in the instance of, say, the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, which they just started, they just pumped that puppy out there. What did they give us? A phenomenal trailer that showed you, look, this is really different corner of the Marvel universe. We're going crazy. We're going bonkers here. It's going to be fun. And it was. Okay. You can cast all of the minority, women, people of color. You can do all of that. But you still have to make me want to watch it. I liked Black Panther. He doesn't look like me when I look in the mirror. But I liked the movie. I don't think it was the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life, like some people did, but I thought it was really good. It was really well done. I appreciated the look at a different kind of culture. I know Wakanda is made up, but I really appreciated the different flavor and feel to everything. It also helps that Chadwick Boseman was taken too soon, unfortunately, but was a phenomenal actor for his age. But I like that movie a lot. But they introduced him in Civil War. I was already primed and pumped and ready to want to see him. That's my point. The other thing is you got a feeling that the MCU knew exactly where it was going. Even if it took detours here and there, we knew we were going to the Infinity Stones. We knew the Infinity Stones were a big deal. We knew there was a big bad out there behind the scenes. And finally was revealed in Thanos, right? What on God's green earth are they doing now? Where are they going? And maybe in hindsight, this seems this podcast does not seem very intelligently said later. But I have no idea what they're doing right now. They're just doing stuff, kind of aimlessly, seemingly. So, I don't know. I'm hoping Moon Knight will be good, and if it's good, I'll talk about it here. If it's really bad, or if they do this thing where they take a show and call it Moon Knight and it's actually about somebody else, I'm going to be talking about it here for sure. And it'll probably be a little spicier than I usually get because I'm getting really tired of this. I tuned in to watch a show called Hawkeye. I want it to be about Hawkeye. Otherwise, call it Kate Bishop Hawkeye, Lady Hawkeye, something else. I know she uses the title too. That's not the best analogy. But Loki Season 2, if it's not about Loki, then it better be called Lady Loki. Don't lie to me with the title. That's getting annoying, and it's really starting to piss me off. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm just getting tired of watching this stuff. I'm getting tired of being sold this stuff that I'm supposed to really care about, and it's just not there. The quality of the acting doesn't seem to be there. Quality of the writing, big time, does not seem to be there. I would say that's probably more than the quality of the acting. Some of the actors they hire are at least fine. Decent actors. I don't expect, Forrest Gump and Shakespeare every single time I watch something. Just, it needs to be passably good. You can't hire a plank of wood and tell me that that's going to be great acting. That's fine, but you also have to give an actor something to work with. And some of the writing has been absolutely terrible. I finally did watch Shang-Chi. It was okay. It wasn't anything impressive. I've seen a lot of Asian martial arts movies, Asian Hong Kong cinema. A lot of, and it's never been my thing, the wuxia movies, where, I kind of think like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I like them, but they're always just okay for me. I like, action movies more like Jackie Chan stuff, more like Bruce Lee, Jet Li, and not that it's from China, but the Raid movies with Iko Uwais. I like my martial arts action. I guess I like that to be a little bit more on the realistic side, but I've never had a problem watching Hong Kong flicks, things like that. And there was some terrible stuff put out back in the day. The Shaw Brothers and Golden Harvest and stuff. Some of those movies are so terrible, but they're fun. And Shang-Chi was just okay. I mean, the 10 Rings thing, I know they changed that. That kind of annoyed me, but whatever. I just didn't they've got some great actors in there. Michelle Yeoh, Tony Leung. And it was just okay. I mean, I don't know. I just come back to it, and every time I think about it, I'm just like, it was fine. Marvel has a writing problem, big time right now. And they also have it's almost like they've got a conflict where on one side of the table, they've got these people who want to do these particular characters because it's going to make them more diverse, more inclusive, or whatever. Diversity, inclusion. Of course, those are the buzzwords of this particular time frame we're in. And then they've got maybe, hopefully, someone still there who says, yeah, but the story hasn't set that up. We haven't gotten there yet. There's a lot of times some of these projects feel very shoehorned. They feel very just piecemeal. Like I said, a la carte. What are we getting to? What is the point? Are we building to something? Are we building up to another big bad? Galactus, Doctor Doom, I don't know, something. Or are we just doing random stuff because it feels good and it's cool? I don't know. So, anyway, maybe they'll get their shit together. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But regardless, if I feel strongly enough about it, I mean, if I watch Moon Knight and I feel like it's just meh, you're probably hearing me mention it, but I don't think you'll hear me do an episode specifically on it. But I hope it's not meh. I hope it's good. And I guess if it's terrible, well, I guess that's that's fodder for an episode, isn't it? But yeah, so the podcast seems to be doing pretty well right now. I just want to say how much I appreciate y'all listening. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And if you can, if it doesn't ask too much of your time, I very much appreciate you sharing the episodes. Push it out there. Trying to grow. Eventually, I'll probably start doing some kind of mild advertising. I might even set up like some kind of a Patreon or Subscribestar or something like that if you want to donate or something. I'm not going to do any members restricted content, at least not at this time. I don't see myself doing that. I don't have the desire to do that. But if, maybe if there's a way, if somebody wants to donate a little bit and throw a little money in the pot so I can keep this thing going, that'd be great. Didn't do this to get rich. Of course, if 15 years from now, I'm as big as Joe Rogan. I'm sorry. Couldn't say that with a straight face. But if it gets bigger, that's great. But right now, I just want to make sure that I can, keep the lights on, so to speak, pay the bills. But I appreciate it very much. And, well, we will see how things go with the MCU. And I will be here again next week for sure. Till next time, take care. Have a great day. Thanks for listening. The Way of the Dad podcast is produced and recorded by, well, me, a stunningly average husband and father, who appreciates all of the likes, shares, reviews, and support you give. If you would like to reach out, you can find the podcast on its Facebook page, and of course you can email me at wayofthedadpodcast@gmail.com. Come back next time as we continue to fearlessly dive into the depths of dadness.